In this episode, we are kicking off the Halloween season by taking a step back to the groovy 70s and taking a look at forgotten 70s monster toys. So, stick around. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob, and like I said, we are now full-fledged in the Halloween season. And I thought, what better way to kick things off by taking a step back into the 70s and taking a look at some really groovy and monstrous toys. So, without further ado, let's get to number one. Our first forgotten 70s monster toy is me cheating, because it's not really forgotten at all. It's actually a very sought after toy, but I can't help myself. Whenever the opportunity rises, I have to talk about it. This is Crusher from Mattel in 1979. Now, Crusher is probably, in my opinion, one of the most beautifully sculpted toys out there. I mean, for being made of like a latex rubber, he has great detailing. You can see scales, you can see plates, and he has a tail. I know, it may be silly, but a tail goes a long way. Anyway, yeah, this is, in my opinion, one of the most perfect monster toys ever created. And the whole gist of this toy was that you could squish him and he would hold shape. He had a little air valve on the back on his belt that you could open, and it would have air rush back into him and he would pop back up into his perfect form again. Like I said, this is highly doubtful that this dude is forgotten, but I just have to talk about it. I talked about him in a episode years ago of toys that I wish I had. I believe it was even a monster edition for Halloween. But one of the things that I always remember when talking about Crusher or thinking about Crusher was that I had a very close friend that actually had one. I loved playing with that toy so much. But one day I show up to his house and he's in the middle of dissecting it because he wanted to see how it worked. And inside Crusher was just foam. I mean, like a foam body perfectly sculpted for his rubber skin to go over. I still have nightmares about that. I mean, if you wanted to get rid of it that bad, you should have gave it to me. I would have still had it. He would be right here at home on my shelf. But I don't think that will ever happen unless either I hit the lottery or I just stumble upon one at a yard sale and they don't really know what they have. Because this dude goes for big bucks. And understandably so, because the rubber skin deteriorates after a while. So to find one in pretty good condition is going to cost you. But it would be so worth it. Oh, God, I wish I hit the lottery. Crusher, you would be mine!
You You can make this lump of shriveled up crinkles grow and unwrinkle into a thing called Crusher. Crush him into crinkles and then open and close the valve to create strange Crusher shapes. The one-armed Crusher, the crushed face, the mushed Crusher. You can wrestle him or pretend that he's a very close friend. Crusher comes like this. New from Mattel.
Our second forgotten 70s monster toy is of the plush variety. These are the hairy Scaries, and they were released by Knickerbocker in the 70s. That's all I could find, were that they were released sometime within the 70s. But anyway, there were 4 in total. You had the vampire Count Drooly, the Frankenstein's monster of Frankie Baby, a very inspired offering that looks like it came from Planet of the Apes, and this is Simple Simeon. And of course, I'm always a sucker for a werewolf, so this one is Wacky Wolfie. Now, there's something about how these are made that just kind of remind me of the Pillow People that were released in the 80s. There's something about the cartoon styling of the print on the actual plushie themselves, but these all offer hair. You wouldn't have a hairy Scary without hair, so they all have like wild doos that, for some awesome reason, still seem to be in great condition, the ones that I can find online. Usually that type of hair gets matted and nasty and, yeah, just doesn't hold up. I mean, we're talking about the 70s, and a lot of the ones that I've found online look impeccably awesome. Now, I could find a pretty good amount of them online, and the prices don't really vary that much. I mean, there's only a $10 difference between them. And, I mean, they're not really that super expensive. I mean, like I said, for a plushie that has held up for this many years, that's actually a pretty fair price. Our third monster toy is of the Mego styling. There's actually 2 of that style on this list. One actually comes from Mego, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. These are Famous Monsters of Legend, released by Tomland in 1977. Now, I like that they went all out on finding different types of monsters. I mean, let me go over some of these. I think they're quite awesome. And a lot of them came in 2 different varieties. You had a normal variety and a glow-in-the-dark variety. So anything that's glow-in-the-dark, I'm all about. I mean, still, even at my age, I see glow-in-the-dark on something, I gotta have it. I mean, it's just that kid part of my brain that still sees glow-in-the-dark as being this awesome, revolutionary technology that I just gotta get my hands on. But anyway, we have the Abominable Snowman. And it's a nice looking figure, plus the package art for it is awesome. All the package art is really exceptional on these figures. And the next one is Cyclops. Very much of the Sinbad variety with the single horn coming out. But again, great package artwork and a really nice figure. Next we have Dracula. And I mean, in my opinion, he seems to be the weak link in this line. He just doesn't look that great, and the package art, not as awesome as the other ones. Like this package art for The Fly. I mean, looks great. Even the glow-in-the-dark variant has great packaging. Next, we have a Morlock, which is the famous monster from The Time Machine. Pretty cool. Good artwork as well. And, I mean, I'm not a super fan of it, but it's still something a little bit different than your normal Universal Monster-esque choices that a lot of other toy companies took at that time, and still to this day. And let's follow this up with the oddball of the whole toy line, the Red Alien. This was just a little PVC dude that was released in 1979 under the toy line's name. It doesn't really have anything to do with it, and the packaging, the artwork, doesn't have anything to do with a red alien, but it's really awesome. I mean, I could see this as like a Deftones CD cover or something. I mean, it just looks great. But I'm a big fan of these. They go for a lot of money, as you can expect. And, I mean, rightfully so. These are probably not super prevalent. They're probably really hard to find. So that high price tag is probably well deserved. And, like I said, these are some great sculpts with some great artwork. So, yeah, if you can get the whole thing, it might be worth the money. Our fourth monster? Yeah. This is the type of thing that they would just say was a toy, but not really. It's more of a novelty, but it was sold as a toy in the 70s. These are Monster Poseables, released by Durham in 1975. Now, these are just your typical, just wire, frame, bendy toys. You had 3 in total. You had Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein's monster. Yep, you got your normal heavy hitters, and I just gotta point out, on the packaging, I love the posability examples that they show you. I love the really bent up Dracula coming at you. But anyway, yeah, these were, I mean, honestly, toys. I'm sure people enjoyed playing with these at the time, and I mean, I can't hate, because in the 80s I loved the Otherworld figures, and those were nothing but little bendy action figures. So again, I can't hate on anybody that liked these or, yeah, collects them. But speaking of collecting, I could only find a listing of one of them, and it was a European listing. And it was still carded, and yeah, went for a pretty high price for what you would expect for something like this. Like I said, it seems like more of a novelty than an actual toy. But I'm sure there are plenty of collectors that collect this kind of thing, or just love monsters and Halloween, that this is right up their alley. For our 5th and final forgotten 70s monster toy. Again, this might be a little bit of cheating, because people definitely remember these. People definitely are seeking them. And they definitely have the highest price of any toy on this list. These are Mad Monsters, released by Mego in 1975. Like I mentioned, a lot of companies take the Universal Monster blueprint and they just go off of that. These are a little bit different. These Mad Monsters took vastly different approaches to the Universal template. You had the usual suspects. You had Dreadful Dracula, the Horrible Mummy, the Human Wolfman, which, again, I'm a sucker for a werewolf, so I definitely love this figure, and Monster Frankenstein. Now, like I said, I love that they just look a little bit different enough than just the usual Universal Monster template. I mean, especially the Wolfman. I mean, doesn't look anything like the Universal Monster, and I absolutely love it. Now, they also had a playset, but we'll talk about that in a future playset episode. Don't want to just give away future content, you know what I mean? But anyway, like I said, these are definitely the most pricey of toys on this list, and I mean, people really love these toys, and I see why. They are great, and there are actually 3 different versions of Dracula with different hair colors and stylings, and 2 different versions of the Frankenstein monster with different hair stylings as well. So I'm sure if you are a collector and you want to get all of these, you got quite the journey ahead of you, and I commend you. Okay folks, that was a look at 5 forgotten 70s monster toys. I actually had to switch gears because one of the ones that I originally randomly picked from my monster list of toys was from a model company that actually folded in 1970. So I assumed that the offerings were actually from the 60s, so I couldn't move forward with that, even though they were really awesome. Maybe one day I'll touch back on that. Maybe we'll branch off into the 60s one day. Who knows? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And like I mentioned, a couple of them might not truly be forgotten, but they definitely need to be talked about. I think they are awesome. Everything on this list is awesome in its own right. Except them poseables. But again, I'm not hating on them because, yeah, I enjoyed a toy just like them in the 80s. But anyway, enough of all that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them and I love getting back to everyone. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this or any of the other episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you'll be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.